evening, everyone. I'd like to call our regular board meeting to order for February 24th, 2026 at 7:01. We have regrets from Chairperson Warner and Superintendent Bartlett. This evening, we have a moment of remembrance. It's with profound sadness that we acknowledge the tragedy that struck Tumbler Ridge last week. We extend our heartfelt condolences to students, staff, families who have been affected. Our thoughts and supports are with the entire community. Can I have a moment of silence, please? Thank you. We acknowledge that we are signatories of Treaty 5 and reside on the traditional territory for the Nishnawbe Cree Nation. The school district of Mystery Lake is located in the community of Thompson in the province of Manitoba. Manitoba is located on the traditional and ancestrally, my computer. Oh no. Lands of the Nitheo, Innu, Cree, Denisuli, Dene, Métis, Inuit, Anishinaabe, sorry, I pronounce these absolutely wrong, Ojibwe Cree, Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, the Dakota Oiat, Dakota Nations. The school district of Mystery Lake remains committed to honoring treaties in the spirit of truth and reconciliation. We are all treaty people. Here, can I get an approval of the agenda? Trustee Humby, secondary by Trustee Sharker. All in favor? Carried. Adoption of the minutes. Do I have a mover? Trustee Young, seconder. Trustee Sharker. All in favor? Carried. All right, presentations and delegations. Today we have with us some very special people to go over caregiver advocates for literacy equality. This is just information. All right.
Do you want me to stand or sit? Whatever? Okay. Okay, I'll do it this way. Thank you. So good evening. Thank you for having me here this evening and the opportunity to speak. I'm a grandparent and a parent of past students in the school district of Mystery Lake, but I'm here to speak for other families who have quietly struggled to get their children the help that they need. We recognize that being here is a privilege, and we can advocate and navigate the system and pay for extra support. But many families cannot, and their children are no less capable. We're here because we all share the same hope that every child in the Mystery Lake School Division learns to read well. Not just some children, but every child. So to do that, we need the tools that help us understand which students need the support and how well our system is meeting those needs overall. When children don't learn to read, the consequences can last a lifetime, limiting education, employment, and even participation in society. The Manitoba Human Rights Commission has been clear. Reading struggles aren't inevitable, and they can be identified early and supported effectively through universal screening, evidence-based instruction, timely interventions, and appropriate accommodations. The Manitoba Human Rights Report recently made a number of recommendations, one of which is the implementation of universal reading screening to ensure students are identified and supported before difficulties become entrenched. So what is early universal screening? Early reading screening is a fast, reliable assessment process that helps educators understand the needs of individual students and the needs of the system as a whole. It involves brief, standardized checks administered 2 to 3 times a year, beginning in kindergarten. Screening helps identify students who may be at risk for reading difficulties before challenges become entrenched. These tools are designed to predict future reading outcomes and provide timely information that supports early, targeted instruction. The sooner schools can identify and support students who are struggling, the greater their chances of long-term reading success. Research shows that interventions for reading difficulties are 4 times as long and intensive if they start in grade 1. In other words, the later we wait, the more resources, time, and energy it takes to catch up. And it's harder for the students to reach grade level proficiency. Early screening and early support are key to preventing this preventable harm. In November 2025, the Manitoba government acknowledged the importance of early reading screening with the passing of Bill 225. But legislation only matters when thoughtful implementation follows. We're asking for the commitment and leadership needed in the school district of Mystery Lake to move from compliance to informed and meaningful action. The students most affected by low literacy are exactly the students our system has pledged to uplift. Students from disadvantaged socioeconomic backgrounds, Indigenous and racialized children, multilingual learners, and students with disabilities, including dyslexia. Universal screening ensures that these are seen early. They're supported early, and they're not left behind. The 3 quotes highlight what we know. Reading instruction must be explicit and comprehensive. Teachers often feel unprepared, and strong, ongoing professional development is essential to support them and their students. We also want to acknowledge the Manitoba School Boards Association for their leadership in supporting evidence-based literacy instruction. Their resolution urging the faculties of education to provide structured literacy training for teacher candidates as an important step. But we also need support from the many current teachers who don't receive this training in university. When students are not identified early, the impact is profound. As parents or grandparents, we see it firsthand. We see the frustration. We hear our children call themselves slow, stupid, and not smart. Sorry, but that's exactly what I hear every day. Parents are asking for 3 simple, doable, evidence-based steps. Thanks. Screen consistently from kindergarten to grade 4. Divisions are not required to screen kindergarten students, but we believe there is no benefit in delaying early identification and support. Kindergarten screening is not a high-stakes test. It's short, one-on-one conversation with a child about the sounds that they hear in words. This early check allows teachers and families to spot potential difficulties quickly, so support can begin before gaps become entrenched. Provide teachers with the training needed to understand the data and respond effectively. The benefits of early identification through screening depend on teachers feeling equipped with the knowledge and resources needed to act on the results. Teachers need clear guidance, ongoing training, and meaningful support that builds their skills over time. We strongly believe that all teachers want to help every child, and they want them to reach their full potential, but they are in a system that often sets them up for failure. teachers' system that equips and empowers them rather than overwhelms them. Use the division-wide data for system planning, not to evaluate or penalize individual teachers. This is about support and improvement, not blame. Division-level data allows leaders to identify trends, allocate resources when they are needed most. These steps are evidence-based, achievable, and directly aligned with what the Manitoba Human Rights Commission has recommended. When implemented together, they ensure that every child is seen, supported, and given the best possible chance to succeed in reading. Trustees, you play a vital role. You set the direction, you help determine the priorities, you ensure resources flow to what matters most. Tonight, we are asking you choose literacy as a non-negotiable priority. On behalf of the families across this division, thank you for listening and thank you for taking this serious.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for Lois or?
So the Bill 225, where are we here? That has, is the program laid out within inside that bill? Like, do we?
So the province has not released yet what they consider to be an approved assessment or screener. They have not provided us with those details yet. I anticipate that will be coming shortly because the bill comes into effect on July 1st.
Okay. And then just assuming as it's coming into effect, we will be abiding by what the bill is going to put out,
what
right?
I can say to Lois and the group is our literacy consultants have already been implementing in grades 1 to 3 for the last 2 years, and the program that we use, or the screeners, called Acadians. So they've been working extensively with teachers over the last year and a half to offer individual and small group PD in that program. We're doing it 3 times a year, not just twice. And they have been collecting that data and analyzing that data to inform kind of our next steps. What we know as a division is we have to look at where we're headed as far as our assessment procedure. So we need to update that. So we're in the process of forming an ad hoc committee to help with that. I was point blank with our literacy consultants and I said, are you guys confident after we've spent all this time with the program, the screener that you're using? They're 99% sure that one's going to appear on the list because it's definitely an explicit and systematic tool that's being used. So they're confident, and I'm banking on their confidence that we don't have to abandon that completely. We had been using in kindergarten the I, or the early years evaluation. It had been recommended from the province, and then in December they announced that was not going to continue from them, which is unfortunate because they asked us to use it for the last 2 years, and now they said, well, you can continue to use it if you want, but we don't know if it's going to make the list of a universal screener. So I'm like, well, that's challenging because the data now we have, then if that's not going to be approved, do we continue to use it if it's not considered to be from the list? And then when you shift the tools that you're using, your data becomes unreliable because now you're using a different tool and your measurement can be different. So then your data is skewed sometimes. So we're in the process and waiting for some more direction as to what they think is on the list. So
I hope that sounds encouraging to you.
Yeah, when we actually were at the legislature, they had stated that they were probably going to give 2 or 3, I believe, to use. But I hope they give those soon.
Again, for
Right.
planning purposes, we need that before
Right.
we have to start implementing it. So, yeah.
And I mean, I'm advocating because, like, for my grandchildren that I'm advocating for, I'm already at the end of their education. But we have to look at the future for other people's children. And it's been a road like this, and I can't imagine a lot of our families going through those roads. That's why I think we have a lot of kids that aren't attending. And I think it is an attendance issue. If a child is feeling behind, they're not going to go to somewhere where they're not feeling really good about themselves.
Well, I appreciate the presentation. Thank you very much for taking the time.
Thank you. Sorry for getting upset. It's
No.
just, it's a,
It sounds like it's something that's really personal for you too, so.
it is. Well, and I want to say, as a past school liaison officer at Artie Parker, when I had to deal with youth, my first question was always, how are you in school? And that determined to me what I was dealing with when they were breaking the law. And unfortunately, a lot of our children that aren't being taught the way they need to learn find alternative ways of learning, and unfortunately it goes into the justice system. And so when I would ask them how are you in school, and they would tell you, well, I'm terrible at math, or I'm terrible at reading, and a child without self-confidence, they find self-confidence in other ways, or they self-medicate. And so I think that's another reason I'm so passionate about it, is because I've seen where they end up, and I want to, there's better things out there for them.
Very good.
Any more questions?
Thank you for coming. I understand your pain. The challenge we are facing, I can tell you, like for last couple of years continuously we are looking for the speech and language pathologist. We never find out.
Right.
Right now we don't have any permanent physiotherapist, permanent OT, so they are coming from the Winnipeg. We have the contact with them. So we have tried all our best. So I can tell you another thing, like if you have a look at the recent health status of Manitoba, it's a 5-year health status, you can see the difference. So in Northern, this is on the major spike, this is for the premature death, this is more than 5%. On the rest part of the province is 2 point something. So this is the root cause. So I think you are a group, advocacy group, go to the MLA and the MP, look at try to find the root cause. So this is the premature death, that means they are gone. But the kids, they survived, they all are taking some kind of difficulties on the rest of their life. Try to find what is the root cause. If you need a round table discussion, you can invite us, we can put our input. So this needs an integrated approach. Unless we can remove the root cause, this problem will come year and year. Because you can identify, you can do the screening, but we have to find the solution. Screening, that means you identify the problem. But if I cannot find a speech pathologist, who will treat this case? If there is a stammerer or stutter, they need a continuous treatment. Who will do that? What you can do, you group, maybe if they have some reading difficulties, you can go door by door, spend 1 hour or half an hour to home, give some extra time to learn. But if they have a pathological problem, you cannot do anything. They need a professional treatment.
Reading at home, it's been studied, reading at home doesn't solve dyslexia.
If they have any like the permanent problem in the brain development, because you are not a clinical person, everything. So they need a clinical treatment, like the professional developmental, like the language developmental treatment. How they do that? So we are struggling to find this kind of people in this north.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any more questions?
I'm just wondering, is there anything specifically as a board that we can do to help, in your eyes, kind of improve some of the work that the district is already doing in, you know, screening multiple times a year? I've heard you say that kindergarten is kind of where the screening should occur, but is there any other kind of specific requests?
I think it's just probably an understanding in the schools. Lots of things come up when you have learning difficulties and dyslexia, and usually it falls under an umbrella maybe of ADHD, and I've seen it where, and it's no fault of anybody's, it's just, if you're not taught about it, you don't know how to deal with it. And I know that I've talked to quite a few teachers, and then with our group that we deal with, they've said like they weren't taught about these things in university, so they don't know. And some of the teachers that are involved in this said until their children were diagnosed with dyslexia, they had no idea how to teach children with dyslexia. So I think, I know that we've done PD days for dyslexia and dyscalculia. And I think probably just the more education for teachers so that they understand. I know they're not miracle workers, I know that, and I know that we don't expect them to know everything, but an understanding, like to maybe talk to the students and ask them what they see. Like I asked one of my grandchildren, what do you see when you see numbers? She goes, you see that rock? I said, yeah. She goes, it's a rock. I see numbers, it doesn't mean anything. It's like a rock. And I'm like, okay, right? It's just asking, because I don't know how she feels, and I don't know how they feel when they're dyslexic. And it's frustrating. And a lot of it is genetics. So when you end up talking to the parents about their children, chances are, and how have we, many times have we heard it, oh my goodness, he was just like me when I was in grade 5, right? And you were like this? Yeah. And so it's really important to know how to talk to those parents as well. The parents already feel defeated because they don't know which way to turn to help their children either. And it gets very frustrating. And I mean, I think I know where to go to get help. And I was giving up. I was throwing my hands up in the air and saying, that's it, I'm done, right? And so it's frustrating for parents, and I think, I'm hoping that maybe we can get like a support group together for parents so that, you know, we can learn from each other and build each other up and help because I'll tell you, when I took my grandson to the legislature for Bill 225, and he met other children like him, it was amazing to see these children bloom right in front of you because they were alike. They knew how each other was feeling, and it was really interesting to see. So I think it's just, we need to support each other, definitely. And sometimes I'll tell you, I haven't felt supported. I have now, because we've gotten some things straightened out, and it's good. It's like a breath of fresh air. But in the past, I'll tell you, there was lots of nights where I had my hands up saying, they won. That's it, they've won, right? But it has gotten a lot better.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
My computer decided to crash, so on to the, oh, go ahead, sorry.
Sure, I'll make this quick. You asked if there were any suggestions on what you could do as a board to improve literacy in this district, right? We need to work on legibility and letter formation and bring back cursive writing, because there are students that are arriving in high school that cannot produce these letters. I don't know how that's happening, and I can't help them as a high school English teacher when they get to grade 9, 10, 11, 12, and it looks like they're writing in kindergarten scribbles. So there's a breakdown somewhere in the system in terms of just simple letter formation. Legibility has been part of the English curriculum in this province for over 40 years. If your teachers are writing that the kids are meeting the outcomes and passing them to the next grade, but they can't form letters, they're not meeting some of the outcomes. It starts with letter formation in kindergarten. And then building the spelling abilities and being able to understand the sounds of the words as they relate to the letters that spell those words. It's simple. Start there. Everybody can do it. We need to pay attention to these crucial foundational skill sets in developing literacy for the students that we work with every day in this district. And 2, meaningful professional development for your teachers. Not just, here's an afternoon session, you forget about it a week later. There needs to be ongoing discourse on the continuum, from kindergarten to grade 12. Teachers who teach literacy, specifically the English teachers, but everybody, if you're teaching and you're not miming your instruction, you're teaching in a language, predominantly it's English, we need to get literacy on the agenda, and not just as a subject nuance in something called English, right? So we need professional development across the board. I would suggest you guys look into reading apprenticeship for grades 7 to 12. I've suggested it many times over the last few years. I haven't seen any professional development offered for reading development, reading apprenticeship. It's West Ed, if you need to look it up. I've been in touch with them. They can run sessions for 40 teachers. Comes with a hefty price tag. It's $30,000 US, but you get extensive support, and it's meaningful, and it's been implemented successfully across this province for the last 12 years. It works. It's an approach. It's an approach to literacy instruction across the curriculum. So it's not just for English teachers, it's for anybody that has to work with text in the English language. So we've got, at the lower grades, letter formation and the correspondence between the visual representation of letters and spelling and the sounds that those should cue in the oral language. 2, meaningful professional development and ongoing discourse across all grade levels, right? And 3, I think you have a great opportunity ahead of you in the coming school year, because the province has finally revised their English curriculum. It's in a draft stage right now. It appears as though it will be implemented for next school year, and that's K to 12. And they have listened to the Human Rights Commission's report on the Manitoba Rights Report, right? They have rejigged many of the outcomes and the approaches and the language to address some of these breakdowns in the outcomes and the description of the outcomes regarding the correlation between spoken and written language. Primarily in English, right? But you can obviously apply it to French and other languages as well. So I would encourage you, as a district, to really look into this new curriculum revamp, because it is listening to the issues of dyslexia, but these issues are not just students that have dyslexia. These are students who are just simply not learning the letter and sound correspondence. And I mean, literacy, if we want to produce, right, we have, so the Framework for Learning now has 6 global competencies across all subject matters, right? Connection to self, creativity, critical thinking, collaboration, citizenship, communication. Those are new objectives for every course, right? So we need to figure out a way to implement those. And what has happened is the new curriculum is built to deliver these things. It's about education for the 21st century, right? We want to engage in democratic renewal and produce 21st century citizens. They have to be literate to participate fully as agents with agency in a world that demands literacy. So there's my 3 recommendations. There's some room for improvement regarding these issues in this district. And this is what I would encourage you to look at moving forward, because you have a great opportunity to really take the bull by the horns and go strong implementing this new curriculum revamp for English. Because I think it will help address the issues with dyslexia and also underperforming low literacy issues in students without dyslexia.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening.
Hi, I just have a couple of things to contribute, if I may. So I'm a professor at University College of the North. My name is Jen Reed, and I have fulfilled 2 roles there. One is teaching in the as an assistant professor in the English program there, where I teach academic reading, writing, and research. I also, up to recently, was teaching into the Keenanow Bachelor of Education program. So I just want to comment on a couple of things. You asked, again, the action thing, what can we do, right? So just to share with you, I also taught at the University of Winnipeg, so my comparison of the 2 different groups of students coming into first year in Manitoba, I can make a comparison there. I come from Ontario, I come from Toronto area, where I taught at University of Toronto and York University. So I have a pretty good level of comparison. We know that literacy is in peril in Manitoba, and we've heard about students with reading difficulties. Statistically speaking, the students that are learners who would be considered dyslexic actually amount to a small percentage, but those who have reading difficulties is enormous. And the reason for that is it's not purely neurological or genetic, but it's also down to instruction. So when, as my colleague pointed out here, when the phonetic correspondence is not learned, right, to letters, individual letters, and how they form at sight. The sounds that we know are in words, we begin to have reading difficulties. Those compound over time. So how does this relate to what I see in first year university? So I see students that are coming from, they've come from K-12 education. Now they're in first year university. Some are recent graduates from R.D. Parker. Some are returning to school as mature students. And what I find is that at least 2/3 of the students have some level of reading difficulty. Okay, so this is where I would say about 1/3 of the students are nearing illiteracy. Some are, another 1/3 would be maybe about a grade 8 level of ability to read and comprehend and use what they read to produce written texts. And another 1/3 would be more or less adequately prepared. Okay, now of the ones, but of all the students, what I notice is that they have difficulty encountering new words. And of course, when you go to university, you're seeing all those big words, right? And we know, literate people know, that you have to slow down, look at each letter, sound it out, right? My students have a difficult time with any of those strategies. They don't know those strategies. They guess at words. They see an R, they see a P, they see a T, and they think the word says respect, but it may not, okay? Just today, I had to slow some students down and say, what do we do when we see a word we don't know? How do we attack that, right? So that is a very shocking reality, and that represents reading difficulties across the board that start in the K-12 system when we don't have things like universal screening, okay, to catch those that are beginning difficulties as early as kindergarten, when we start having to have phonemic awareness. Then there's the other issue of as we progress, if we don't encounter teachers who are trained to deliver what's called the science of reading, then those issues will compound year on year, okay? Now, as part of teaching into the Bachelor of Education program, it would shock you to know that, and this is my second point, in the United States, Louisa C. Moats, she had done a huge amount of research and shown that probably in teacher education, you need about maybe 15 or so or more credit hours really to deliver good literacy education. They get a maximum of 6 credit hours of that in Manitoba. They get 3 hours, maybe if you're lucky, in reading acquisition. Okay, so luckily at UCM we do have a huge advocate for that in Amanda Ansi, okay? But when they come out of that, they still have to know how to apply that in other situations. So when I would do what I'd call a language inventory with my students, because I taught the English Language Arts Methods course for a few years, when I would do an inventory with them, I would find that some of my students didn't actually have much of a grasp of any of that. They wouldn't know some of the very foundational information you would need to know to be an effective English teacher. Some of the students in that course, okay, these are after degree students, some of them are integrated students in their 3rd and 4th year of university, also doing Bachelor of Education, they had troubles reading. And that was compounded, and it's across the board compounded if they were from northern, like other communities or reserves. So these were students who themselves had a hard time reading out words, sentences, paragraphs, formulating them, understanding phonemic correspondence, okay, grapheme-phoneme correspondence. So these were things that I saw. So how do you teach ELA methods, for example? Or we're going to talk about how do you teach a novel? How do you teach metaphor? You know, all that kind of stuff. How can you get to that good stuff if they're having difficulties reading? So I really want everyone here to think about that and to think very seriously about what Lois has brought to you, because I can tell you some of those mature students that I have it's all very uneven, and about half my students fail every year, okay, which is incredible, okay, given our numbers. That some of these mature students, I'm sorry, this is very important. So that's fine, I'm finished. I was about to say that some of these people have been involved in the justice system. They have struggled like their socioeconomic status. Many of them are racialized. This is a very, very serious situation. I'm sorry it feels like your time's being taken up, but this needs to be addressed. Mystery Lake is at the bleeding edge of this. It can't go on. I cannot watch students fail and fail and fail as adults and not have the privilege to have what we have here today. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on. Assistant Superintendent report, please.
Okay, so I've provided a written report, attendance at a number of district events or meetings. Some of the highlights, so I attended a meeting about the possibility of the START program coming to Thompson, which is a community mobilization service for youth and adult through a consent-based, culturally inclusive, and client-centered approach. They work collaboratively, with all participating agencies to identify, plan with, and support clients to reach individual goals, and by doing so, create safer and healthier communities. So the board is composed of service providers, of which the school district would be a part of. Other partners include RHA, Child and Family Services, Community and Youth Corrections, Substance Use Treatment, Justice, and the RCMP. So that's just in the preliminary stages. They are looking at forming that ad hoc committee in order to get things up and running. There is a program offered right now in Selkirk and Stonewall that has had a lot of success. And I think the big change compared to some of the other programs that have been tried before in Thompson, like the Hub, is that there is a worker dedicated to that program. So it becomes kind of the ownership of getting things up and off the ground and kind of continuing is on the employee of that program. So that was exciting to hear kind of the ability to maybe partner with that. I also attended a Northern Focus group that was facilitated by the Prairie Research Associates. That was part of a provincial analysis of the Universal Nutrition Program. So the group discussed some guiding questions with, it was all Northern people, so the Northern superintendents from the 4 school divisions attended about the implementation year, so the 24-25 year. And we talked about successes, challenges, suggestions for improvement, and the ways schools used their funding. The data is being collected as part of a provincial scan, and they'll be collating a report that will be shared with the minister. We asked how school divisions will then get that information. They're not sure, but they will take that feedback to the minister and say that school divisions are definitely interested in receiving that, to be able to look at some provincial trends and then just exchanging ideas of how to expand our nutrition programming. I had the opportunity to meet with Vice Principal Kelly Scallion from Artie Parker about a partnership with the Boys and Girls Club. So they are going to be offering the Roots to Rise program in Thompson, which is designed to support high school age students and their families navigate the path to graduation through academic support, cultural support, and various other tools that will help students reach their goals. So again, in the beginning stages, modeling after a school division in Winnipeg that already has that program going. They call that program Wayfinder there, but all funded through the Boys and Girls Club. And we just kind of facilitate access to families and students to get information out, and it's done after school, kind of a minimum requirement of they attend a certain number of hours a week, and with the possibility of some good bursaries at the end of their time, which it could be up to 4 years, to be able to do or pursue other interests afterwards, which is great. You would be required to register for the program, and it's not just academics, which was nice to hear as well. I promised TTA that I would give an update of treaty training numbers. So here they are. So we have now completed 213 teachers are fully trained with the full 2 days. So we have about 25 teachers, according to our stats, that need either day 1 or day 2. So 20 teachers need day 1 and 5 teachers need day 2 by the end of the school year. We have 164 support staff trained on day 1. So we have 24 support staff needing the day 1 training. So again, day 1, that was a provincial initiative back in 2024. Some staff have been able to access day 1 virtually this year, but going forward, our district will be offering the day 1 and the day 2. So we're planning kind of rollout for that in the fall. But those are some great numbers compared to where we started back in September. I was a little worried, like we were in the 80s when we first started, of how many teachers had the full 2 days, and we're now at 213. So that's very encouraging to me. We have till June 30th to have everybody with the full 2 days, and the teach side anyways. And then just a huge shout out, I just want to acknowledge the work of Jan Perrin, who's the music teacher at Juniper Community School. I attended ARF, Brian, last week when you brought up the musical. I went to check out the K-3 musical that was held there last week. And again, there's a lot of moving parts when you take especially littles and put them into a school musical like that. The sound guy, who is also a teacher that was helping a student kind of navigate all the microphones, which was probably about 15 headsets that they were trying to cut in and out at the appropriate time, as well as conduct the choir that was singing the musical pieces to go with the acting part. So it takes a lot of dedication, commitment, and patience to be able to pull off those kind of events. So a huge shout out again to Jan she usually does 2 a year. She does a primary and then an intermediate musical. So she is passionate about those, and it's definitely evident in the work that she does with her students. So that's my report.
Any questions?
When you were talking with the other districts about the nutritional program, do you find that, are they having the same kind of difficulties implementing? Do they have any other ideas that they're coming up with that?
Yeah, so they've been working on changes to some infrastructure, has been some of their priorities, including things like electrical type stuff. They hire out, like in Flin Flon, they utilize their Friendship Center, does all of their meals because they don't have the capacity to do it in their own buildings. So, struggles meeting health requirements. So last year they said not as much, but this year more problematic because it's now kind of up and running, and it's become bigger than I think any of us ever thought it was going to. So now there's some issues as far, right, like 3 compartment sinks and that sort of, just the volume of food. Like again, so Frontier spoke a lot about access to food and the cost. So again, we think we're remote, but getting food into some of those other communities, like the cost has been astronomical. So a lot of them were advocating for like additional funding in the sense of the higher costs associated with living in the north. Like I didn't feel like that was a concern for us. It was more the concern about space and lack of, and the people to deliver the program. Same kind of struggles. They struggle with staffing. People talk lots about turnover or absences of staff, and then programming comes to a halt. So
I can see the difficulty. Especially if you're getting at communities that aren't based on the grid, basically, right? Like winter road access.
yeah.
Any more questions? All right, Secretary Treasurer's report.
Circulated in your agenda this evening was the check register for the month of January. Bringing forward at this time our expenditures for January 2026. Accounts payable of $2,576,852.91 were processed. Teacher payroll of $2,329,580.02. And non-teaching payroll of $1,373,546.21. My recommendation at this time is that the expenditures for January 2026 in the amount of $6,279,979.14 be approved.
Do I have a motion? Trustee Humby, seconder, Trustee Nicolsaw. All in favor? Carried.
I bring forward the expenditures year-to-date as of February 18th, 2026. We are 55.38% through the school year. It's going fast. Expenditures are still remain tracking well. Year-to-date expenditures, $28,726,507. 54.6% of plan. So far, winter has been very good to us, and our staffing count is as expected. No concerns at this time. I've also brought forward the undesignated operating surplus forecast. We have not received any in-year revenue adjustments at this time from the province, which was good news. So we have an undesignated operating surplus of $1,883,059, which is below the allowed 4% provincial limit, which would be equal to $2.1 million. The undesignated operating surplus helps us address unforeseen or unexpected circumstances, so it's nice to have a little bit of a cushion there. Our breakfast and snack programs are tracking 24% year-to-date spend from our various donors. At this time, we've spent $34,757. So they help address our food insecurities with our students as well. I have nothing else at this time, just to mention the public budget presentation for the 2026-2027 school year will be this coming Thursday here at the school board office at 6 o'clock. It's going to be riveting, so come on down. That's all I got.
Thank you. Provided in your package correspondence for your reading pleasure, e-bulletin for February 11th, 2026. Also provided is the provincial bargaining, and they've announced their trustee team members, and the 2026 convention resolutions for information. The debate break begins at 10:30 on March 19th during convention. Committee reports, policy.
Policy will meet again sometime in March. The date and time is yet to be determined.
Thank you. Education and programming.
We just met before this meeting. We had a presentation. I couldn't think of the word, sorry. Presentation from Christine McKenzie from Student Services. She spoke about the clinicians, children on specialized programming and individualized programming. And we also talked about, oddly enough, the literacy screener, which was Bill 225, which the people came in and spoke about also. So that Jolene already really said everything that I was going to say. I could just say it again, I guess. We're doing K-3 screening 3 times a year by an approved tool. At Acadian will be the program used if it's on the list. We're not sure about that. And all the teachers are getting trained on the program Acadian and are currently using it. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're actually the screening 3 times. It was only supposed to be screened 2 times, so we're actually going above the bill. So, yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Public relations.
Nothing new to report, and I guess our date will be in March.
Thank you. Finance Property Committee.
Going to meet today at 6 p.m. We discuss the insurance update. We can give you the right. Sorry, let me find this one. One more, please. So today we have the bank balance for the insurance 17,600,000 and total interest earned on funds 179,000, and we are $2.9 million due from the insurers. And the committee discussed the amended trustee indemnity bylaw, and we recommend this will be placed in the board for the next meeting for the board approval. And we have the budget presentation on 26th February at 6 p.m. this board room. Everyone is welcome to join, and if they have any concern and question, they can ask in the budget presentation. That's it.
Thank you. Do we have any other committees that have met during this time? All right, moving forward, do we have any questions from the public?
Jolene, can you just give me, I just missed one of those numbers, so you get, back to the treaty training. So 213 teachers are done both? Yeah. So 20 need both day 1 and day 2?
No, 20 need day 2. So they have, 20 have day 1, so they need day 2.
Oh, okay, 20 need day 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
5 need day 1, so
Okay.
they've completed day 2.
Okay, 25 need day 1. And, so they would need both?
No, so if they took day 2 already, they just have to do day
Oh,
1
some
now.
did it
Some did it
backwards.
backwards due to the availability of what was being offered when.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay, and then the support staff, you said 164 were done, and I missed.
We have 24 that need.
That's pretty good.
All right, can I? Oh, yeah, trustee
Number
Thomas.
15.
Oh, yeah. I missed it, I guess. All right, trustee Anderson. Yeah.
I'd like to thank the Thompson Kin Club for having a coloring contest for our students over Winterfest. And the ice fishing teams went out for their first practice held at Paint Lake before the MHSAA Ice Fishing Championship is held in Balsam Harbor on Lake Winnipeg. Any Artie Parker students interested in officiating junior high basketball, February 24th and 25th, there is a referee camp at Ecole of Riverside. Please contact Ashley Squires if you're interested in attending. And tomorrow is our anti-bullying campaign, also known as Pink Shirt Day, so please wear your pink shirt in support. And have a fun and amazing spring break and come out and watch or volunteer for the Winter Games.
Thank you. Trustee Young.
I'm good, nothing today.
All right, trustee Humpy.
I just wanted to mention that, I've noticed lately that the snowbanks are getting quite high in and around the schools. So I just want to encourage all drivers, to just watch out for our students on, in school zones and outside of school zones. And that's all.
Thank you.
Actually, can I, sorry?
Sure.
Just bring it up, there's been a lot of complaints about people driving past our school buses with the stop signs. People need to know that there are cameras, they will be reported, and they are gonna get a ticket, so you gotta start paying attention to that.
Plus, you don't want to hurt anybody.
Well, that too, but I mean, it's like, but I have seen lots of people talking about that situation, so.
Everybody's in a hurry.
Oh, yeah, and come and volunteer for the games. Starts next week, I believe, yeah.
All right, trustee Sharker.
I'd like to congratulate the music department, Artie Parker, for their grade 8 and 9 trip to the Winnipeg. They did a fantastic job. And welcome everyone for the mega events. This will happen in Thompson. Winter Games. And there will be information session. Welcome to the Artie Parker. This will be there tomorrow. It will happen at 7 p.m. Lakeman Theatre Hall for those newly graduated, those who are going to our Artie Parker in grade 9 in September. This will be very helpful for the students and the parents. Thank you.
Thank you. Everybody has said what I was going to say, so thank you. Can I get a motion to move into camera? Trustee Nicholson. Oh, sorry, seconder. Trustee Humpy. Thank you. My computer decided